It is Monday morning here at Ratliff Mandolins, and I welcome you to this video where I'm going to share with you all of the things that I'm going to do this week. Now, speaking of this week and our job jar list this week, number one is going to be this thing, this small tiple sized mandola, I guess. I worked on it this weekend. The progress I made on it this weekend was that I got the bridge, part of the bridge system glued on. This is going to be a two-piece bridge. It's got the attachment points for the strings, and then it's going to have just a floating bridge across that, much like a mandolin bridge. And I got the string attachment part glued on. And so this thing is pretty much ready to prep for finish. And I got the neck more or less cleaned up and sized down a little bit better, and the frets put in the fretboard, side dots, and all that kind of stuff. So this thing is more or less in the same position as this one. It's ready to get ready to put finish on it. Speaking of finish, the only thing I've ever done on an instrument has been just plain old sprayed nitrocellulose lacquer. From the very first days I ever built anything, that's all I know how to do. So I'm going to, see as how this is an experiment, I'm going to practice a little bit, and I bought some shellac and some Danish oil. So I'm going to, here's the plan. I'm going to put a coat of shellac on this to seal it off, and then Danish oil, and see if I can make a halfway decent looking finish. And this one's mine anyway, so if I mess it up, it really doesn't matter. That's on the job jar list this week, is to get finish on this thing, or at least a few coats. Also, we're basically in the same position with this little guitar here that's got the 1927 Martin neck in it. We are going to clean this much of it up, stain it if we wish to, and I'm going to try the same finish routine with it, the shellac and the Danish oil. I'll probably just try to clean the neck up really good and put some either some lemon oil or a light coat of Danish oil on it. I'll try that and see. It's all an experiment. And of course, the third thing that will be on the job jar list is to get officially the next batch of mandolins started in the boxes, what pieces and parts I've got with numbers on them, and each a set of wood and pieces and parts assigned to each particular person that it's going to. So that also is on the job jar list this week. And so, as always, I'm going to carry that camera around with me across the course of the week and take a video of anything that seems interesting and something that needs to be shared with you guys. So come along with me for the next few minutes and spend the week with me. I now have this guitar sanded down, 320 grit sandpaper. The pores are filled. I have a little false heel in there, and I'm going to put a very thin coat of shellac to kind of seal everything on. And I'm noticing that the binding is really dirty and I can't seem to wipe it off. So I'm going to just go ahead and go over dirty binding with a thin coat. And much like you do a mandolin after it's scraped, after it's stained, I'm going to try to scrape it. Also, to keep the brown sanding dust, as much as I've tried to get it off, I'm afraid I'm going to get that on the top and seal it in so that I'll have a smudgy top. So what I'm going to do is only the rosewood, and then after that's dry, I'll come back and clean the top up really good with a fresh clean piece of sandpaper and wipe everything down, and then put a thin coat of shellac on the top. But for now, I'm really anxious to see just how pretty this rosewood is, and I think this shellac is going to show. It is rich and dark and pretty. Wow. Pretty wood. Okay, let's start right over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put stain on that heel, but I had a feeling that in the final fitting of things, that's going to change. And we'll have to sand some of that back, some of the wood back off, actually. That's what I think. And if that's the case, then we'll have bare wood there again. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and put the color on. You can see how much darker that mahogany turns. And frankly, how much darker the rosewood turns. Well, that is pretty wood though. I bet some of you folks out there watching this video has done more with the wiped on clear coat than I ever have. And I will be the first one to admit that I'm doing something I've never done before and probably will screw something up here before it's all said and done. But I am learning. There we go. I am just going to flip that over on its belly like that and find me a clean spot to lay it in. And I will show you the neck, which has been done the same way. About an hour ago, I just put a single coat of shellac on it, no stain. That's just the color of the mahogany. So, and it's dry enough, plenty dry enough to touch. Anyway, there's that. myself. After I got a single coat of shellac on everything, I decided to put it together and give it a shot and see if I could make it work, so to speak. And I'm glad that I did, because it sounds about like what I expected it to sound like. The action is a little too high on both ends, the bridge and the nut end, so I need to adjust on that. More than anything, the neck is has a round feel, and I think it needs to be reprofiled, so I'm going to do that here in just a minute. I'm going to kind of take it apart and do some adjusting, and then re-shellac it, I guess, for at least one coat, and then play it for a little while and see what else needs to be done. So there it is. Now we're going to take it apart and tweak on it a little. It is Thursday afternoon now, and yesterday I had to run to town for some errands, and I thought, you know what, I'll load these two guitars up and go to my local music store and just see if they've got any kind of cases that these things might fit into. So I just put them in cardboard boxes and hauled them to town. This one, no luck. No case that this thing would fit. There's one on back order that the measurements seem to match, so I've got it back ordered right now at my local music store, which I do on occasion. But they have one of these, and this little guitar fits perfect in that. So I now have a case for this guitar, and I have the string attachment portion of the tailpiece. I'm going to put a tailpiece on this guitar, or a bridge, exactly like this thing has. Two-piece, one for the string attachment and one for the strings to rest on. So this part is made and ready to glue on, and so that is what I'm going to do right now. And by the way, I'm thrilled to bits to find a good hard shell case for it. Well, there it is, all glued down, and so all we need to do is just get the crossover part, the part that has the saddle, finished, and this thing would be almost ready to put strings back on it, or start the finishing process, whichever we decide to do. And now, having accomplished that goal, it is time to move on to the back. I'm going to grab some of those boxes. Well, first I'm going to clean off some of the bench space that I've got cluttered up with tools and everything else. and then we'll start pulling those boxes down that I keep all the bits and pieces and parts in, and start loading them up with what we've got and starting on the next batch. So, but like I said, first we're going to clean the benches off. Well, you know what they say, you never actually get a job done, you just get tired of working on it, and that's kind of me and cleaning up. I have pulled some of these boxes down, as you've seen, and I've got those lined up. Now, I've got private orders for this batch, but I also want to clean up a mess. And as many of you know, I build extra pieces and parts. Every time I do a batch, I do an extra couple of backs or a couple of tops and some necks and stuff. And sometimes they get glued together, and over the years I've actually built up with a box of mandolins, or mostly some pieces and parts, but some of them are pretty much full instruments. And so I'd like to clean this mess up as well. So I'm going to put as many of these as I can in with this batch, and see if I can't reduce some of the mess here. I have all kinds of stuff. I've got A-style mandolins here with 2-piece necks, and I've got A-style mandolins with 3-ply cream-colored binding and tortoiseshell binding. I've got an oval hole mandolin here with mahogany neck. So, and some left-handed F-styles. And so we're going to distribute these things through these boxes today, and probably go upstairs and pull enough wood down to build the rest of the mandolins in the batch, and that'll take a good portion of the day. By the time I drag out an 18-inch, 2-inch thick, 10-foot long maple board and wrestle it down here and get it cut up into mandolin shapes, that's not something that happens in just a few minutes. I'm going to close this video off here. Thank you so very much for staying with me the entire time, and come back next week and each and every week thereafter for another episode of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary. My name is Audie. I'm signing off. See you later.